What if humans aged backwards?
Imagine this. You're standing in a hospital. You hear a newborn crying from the delivery room, but when the door opens, there's no baby. Instead, a 100-year-old man with completely white hair, a face full of wrinkles, about 5 feet 7 inches tall, lying on the hospital bed, crying like a newborn. No, you didn't see that wrong. In this world, everyone ages in reverse. The moment you're born, you're the oldest version of yourself. And every year, your body gets younger, younger, and younger. Until, at the very end of your life, you become a 1-month-old baby and close your eyes forever. But wait, that's not even the strangest part, because the very first question is, how does this 100-year-old even get born? In our world, the average age to become a mother is around 25. If aging worked in reverse, that mother would look about 75 years old. Now think about it. How is a woman who looks 75 supposed to carry a fully grown 100-year-old man inside her body? Where would that baby even develop? The uterus? Impossible. The abdomen? There's nowhere near enough room. Would the mother's body expand several times its normal size like a balloon? Now imagine the nightmare if she's pregnant with twins. Just picture that. Or maybe humans evolved an entirely new organ for pregnancy, an organ that spent millions of years evolving, just to hold an almost fully developed human being. Or maybe the baby starts out completely folded up, like a compressed spring, and the moment it's born, its body unfolds. Based on everything modern science knows, there's basically no way a birth like this could happen. So from this point on, let's assume evolution had millions of years to redesign the human body specifically for this bizarre way of living. And trust me, after birth, things only get weirder. Imagine a mother breastfeeding her 100-year-old baby, then changing his diaper, singing him lullabies, teaching him how to walk. Everything is backwards. His appearance says he's lived for a century, but his mind doesn't even know his own name. When he finally says his first word, everyone celebrates, even though he looks like an elderly man proudly saying, "Dada." What about school? Picture the first day of school. Hundreds of elderly men and women walking into class with backpacks. One is chewing on a pencil. Another ripped up their notebook. Someone's upset because their best friend won't talk to them. And the teacher raises her voice. "Class, did everyone finish their homework?" If you looked through the classroom window, you'd swear it was a retirement home. But in reality, they're all 7 or 8 years old. Now get ready for the weirdest family gathering imaginable. The youngest member of the family looks like a 90-year-old man, but the oldest member looks like a 5-year-old child. Imagine that, a 5-year-old grandpa holding the hand of his 90-year-old grandson, taking him to the playground. The grandson excitedly says, "I want to go on the slide," then jumps onto the swing, ice cream all over his face. And that 5-year-old grandfather patiently pushes him higher. If someone didn't know how this world worked, they'd probably think they were dreaming. Now let's talk about work. The more experienced you are, the world's greatest surgeon might look like he's only 30. The most successful CEO could appear to be 25. The president of a country might look somewhere between 15 and 20 years old. Nobody trusts people who look old, because they're actually children. Now imagine retirement. Retirees aren't elderly people. They're kids who look about 10 to 15 years old. What if there's a war? Who do you think gets sent to the battlefield? People who look 50 or 70? No, they might only be 10 years old. The generals are people who look like they're in their 20s or 30s, but have decades of real-life experience. And the saddest part? Children trapped inside old bodies watch the war on TV without even understanding what war really means. Let's step into the world of sports. The fastest person on Earth, the Olympic 100-meter champion, is actually 60 years old. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo would both be in their 60s or 70s, and once they reached what looked like their 30s or 40s, they'd already be considered retired legends, no longer allowed to compete. Now imagine a dangerous criminal. When he's sentenced to life in prison, he looks about 30. 20 years later, he looks like a teenager. 10 years after that, he's an 8-year-old child. And at the end of his life, he's a baby. Imagine a prison guard watching over a newborn who was once the deadliest killer in history. The very first date happens between two people who look 70 years old. They're holding hands. They're nervous. They're falling in love for the very first time. But decades later, when they look like they're in their 20s, they've already been married for years and are just reaching the peak of their life experience. But the saddest part is how life ends. Little by little, you get shorter. Your voice becomes softer. Your teeth fall out. Your skin becomes smooth again without a single wrinkle. Your body feels full of energy. One day, you can't speak anymore. A few weeks later, all you can do is cry. And finally, inside the body of a 1-month-old baby, still carrying the memories of an entire lifetime, you take your last breath. Imagine it, your whole family, standing around a cradle, crying over the death of a baby, even though that baby lived for 100 years, fell in love, worked, failed, succeeded, and now their story has come to an end.